So now we're going to dive into anxiety, and I wanted to start with a quote from one of your slides that I absolutely love, which is, "Anxiety is a monster that's trying to trick you, keep you from maximizing your abilities, from enjoying what life has to offer, and being happy." Can you tell us about the anxiety monster?
Yes. So the anxiety monster and the worry monster comes out of training that I had in grad school and post-grad school in what's called narrative therapy. And narrative therapy, a big proponent of narrative therapy, first of all, narrative therapy is how our stories about ourselves and about others are really how we author our lives. And that if we change our stories, we can change how we feel about ourselves, how we interact with the world, and have different outcomes as a result. And what I really loved about a large piece of the training in narrative therapy is how you externalize the problem from the individual. So a lot of times I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm this, I'm that. We're tied to this, right? So our narrative and our story, we're tied to this problem, which is often very painful and distressing. So the idea is if you can call this thing a worry monster, an anxiety monster, and put it outside of you, and then we as a community can gang up on this external force, and we can rewrite our narrative, which is the worry monster is actually something that's trying to bully me. The worry monster tells me all of these negative things which really scare me and make me worry. I am sick of this worry or anxiety monster running my life. It actually creates space and it empowers the child and enlists the support team, parents, grandparents, coaches, teachers, to all work together to take down the worry monster.
So how do you do that? Because I think this whole idea of, for a child, especially a younger child, having these different parts of self that are some on their side, some not, some thoughts are not on their side, you know, and the child might be thinking obsessively about things. How do you do that?
Well, so a point which I think you're leading me to is, depending on the age of the child, can all children think about the worry monster, and can they think about their thinking, and how do they grapple with this? And so, you know, it really does depend. A lot of times, young kids, we need to focus more on the behavioral intervention aspects of conquering the worry monster. We talk about different ways of going about this. One is cognitive, like how do we think about our thinking? How do we think about what the worry monster tells us? There's behavioral. How do we set up behavioral rehearsals and activities to actually take baby steps against the worry monster, the anxiety and the fear? And then there's mindfulness-based approaches. How can we stay present? Instead of worrying about the future, how can we focus on right now? How can we breathe? How can we say, I'm fine right now? So what's nice about with a lot of gifted kids and twice exceptional kids, a lot of them tend to be very verbal earlier on. A lot of them tend to have metacognition, thinking about their thinking at a younger age. So we find, like with the gifted and 2E population, you can often engage in this verbal intervention and this verbal process earlier than you might be able to with a neurodevelopmental population. But even when you can't, because a child's too young, or there is an older child that is lacking that insight and that awareness, that's when you focus more on the behavioral aspects of, how does the worry monster bully you? What are the things that he tells you? I don't know what he tells me. Okay, what are the things that you are afraid of doing? I don't like to be near dogs. I don't like to walk into a place if I don't know anyone. And then you start to create a story about how the worry monster is impacting them and bullying them, and how can we get back at the worry monster? What is one thing that we can do? And then you go on the behavioral success ladder chain.
Can you talk about the behavioral success ladder?
Yes. So the success ladder, which comes out of behaviorism, is where we develop a ladder of all the things in, it could usually be one event. For example, so if I'm afraid to pet a dog, and I'm afraid to pet a dog because it's going to bite me, the most extreme, most anxiety-provoking behavior on the top of the ladder, and you can actually write a ladder on a page, put the rungs of the ladder, and at the top is pet a dog. Well, it might be at the bottom, and this takes a little time. At the bottom is seeing a dog far away. Then it might be seeing a dog far away and there is no fence. Then it is seeing a dog at a pet store, seeing a dog in a friend or cousin's backyard, hearing a dog bark really close. And what you do is you systematically set up these rehearsals with wonderful rewards, because when we're afraid, we don't want to do anything that scares us. So we need to have external incentivization, incentivizing to the kids to say, hey, if we can do this thing, we can go get some yogurt, or you can get some points for some Pokemon cards, or whatever it is. So a lot of people say, well, that's bribing. It's like, no, it's incentivizing to help a kid do a healthy behavior.
Yeah.
Do something over and over again. For example, you could easily get a child to stay at the opposite end, 200 feet away from a dog at a park that is on a leash, or stay in your car and watch. You do that over and over and over again until they're like, okay, it's boring. I'm not afraid of it anymore. And then you work your way to the next one. And before long, you can get to that extreme, what's called exposure. You can expose your child systematically to the feared stimulus, to be technical, and then you can have a extinguished response, and that child can pet a dog. It happens.